Okay, let's talk nail care. 26.5 billion US dollars. That's the number they're projecting for the global market just this year.
It's pretty staggering when you see it laid out like that.
Right. So we're doing a deep dive today. We've got this comprehensive market report, and the plan is really to pull out the most interesting bits, key trends, regional stuff, without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Exactly. And what really jumps out, I think, isn't just that 2025 number, but the forecast. It's projected to grow to over, what, $42 billion by 2033?
Yeah, $42.26 billion with a 6% compound annual growth rate from 2025 onwards.
That 6% CAGR, it sounds technical, but it basically signals a really dynamic market, lots of change, lots of consumer interest.
For sure. And this report, it gives us a good look back too, right?
Huh?
Using 2024 as the base, looking back to 2021, and then projecting all the way to 2033.
Gives you that context.
So let's set the scene, the big picture first. Global market overview.
Right. So frame it with those key figures again. We're talking $26.51 billion this year, 2025. And that trajectory heading towards $42.26 billion in 2033, that steady 6% annual growth is kind of the engine behind it all.
Impressive numbers. Okay, so it's globally huge and growing. But where is this happening most? Does the report break it down by region for this year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It gets pretty specific. So for 2025, North America actually has the biggest slice of the pie, over 37% market share.
37%. Wow. What does that translate to in dollars?
That's about 9.81 billion US dollars. But interestingly, their projected growth, the CAGR, is a bit slower, around 3.8%.
Okay, so big, but maybe more mature as a market.
Sort of seems that way. Then you've got Europe, the second largest. They hold over 29% of the market. $7.69 billion USD. Their growth is a little stronger than North America's, forecasted at 4.3%.
Right. Okay. North America, Europe, and then I think you mentioned earlier the real powerhouse for growth seems to be elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Asia Pacific or APAC. They account for roughly 24% of the market share in 2025, so about $6.36 billion.
Still substantial.
It is, but here's the kicker. The projected CAGR for APAC is 8.0%.
8%. Okay, that's significantly higher.
Miles higher. It really singles out APAC as the fastest growing region by a long shot.
Right.
It often points to things like a rising middle class, more disposable income, people prioritizing grooming, that kind of thing.
Makes sense. What about the other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa. Are they on the map?
They are, absolutely. South America has just over 3.8% share. That's $1.01 billion, growing at a decent 5.0%.
Okay.
The Middle East is around 4% share, $1.06 billion, with 5.3% growth. And Africa holds about 2.2% share, which is $0.58 billion, but also showing strong potential growth at 5.7% CAGR.
Interesting. So the current giants are North America and Europe, but the growth momentum, that's really shifting towards APAC, and even other regions are showing solid expansion.
That's a good summary, yeah.
Okay, so we know where. Now let's talk about what. What kinds of nail products are people actually buying? What's driving these billions?
Well, the report suggests, and it probably won't surprise you, that nail color is likely the biggest segment.
Yeah, I can see that. Nail polish feels like the most common thing, right?
Exactly. It's often the entry point, something people buy regularly. Easy way to update your look, tap into trends.
And what's driving its dominance specifically? Is it just variety?
Variety is huge, yes, but also consumer demand for specific qualities. Things like long-lasting wear, quick-drying formulas, and manufacturers are constantly responding, seasonal collections, new finishes, focusing on glossy, quick-dry options.
And any trends within nail color itself?
Definitely. The report flags a really interesting future trend towards natural and non-toxic polishes. People are getting much more concerned about ingredients.
Right, that whole clean beauty movement extending into nails makes perfect sense. Now, is there a type of nail color that's growing particularly fast, even if it's not the biggest overall?
Yes, gel nail color. That's highlighted as the fastest growing segment.
Ah, the salon-style manicure at home, or just longer lasting from the salon.
Precisely. People want that chip-resistant finish that lasts for weeks, not days. And the technology is getting better for at-home use, too.
So what makes gel so appealing? Just longevity?
Longevity is key, yeah. But also the durability. The really vivid color finishes you can get, and often much shorter drying times compared to traditional polish, especially with UV or LED lamps.
Okay.
Plus, innovations in the formulas themselves, making them maybe easier to apply or remove, and just the whole rise of DIY manicures and self-care routines, it's all feeding into gel's popularity.
Gotcha. So Beyond traditional polish and gel, what else is in this product type category?
There's an others category mention, which likely includes things like acrylic, shellac, those kinds of systems.
Right.
And of course, you can't forget the basics, base coats and top coats. They're essential for making any color last and look good and protecting the nail.
True. The supporting cast. Okay, so that covers the products themselves.
Mm.
What about the services? Manicures, pedicures. How do they fit into the market picture?
Well, manicures are pegged as likely being the dominant segment when you look at nail treatments.
Okay.
And this ties right into that broader self-care trend we keep mentioning. It's not just about color anymore. It's nail grooming, cuticle care, exfoliation, hydration, whether you get it done professionally or do it yourself.
So a focus on nail health as much as aesthetics.
Exactly. Products aimed at strengthening nails, moisturizing cuticles, that sort of thing. It's becoming part of a routine for many.
And pedicures. Are they following suit?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The pedicure segment is noted as expanding rapidly. People seem to be placing a much higher priority on foot health and appearance than maybe they used to.
Interesting. Why the boom in pedicures specifically?
Several reasons, probably.
Yeah.
Increased focus on self-care again, better awareness of foot hygiene, maybe. Plus, you see more specialized treatments, callus removal, intense moisturizing, exfoliation, and product innovation helps too. Things like foot masks, special scrubs.
It does feel like there's more focus on feet lately. Okay, so the whole nail care experience, top to toe, is growing. How are people buying these products? Is it mostly salons or...
The report breaks down sales types. Currently, bulk sales actually have the largest market share.
bulk sales, so like big containers?
Yeah, primarily selling to businesses. Think salons, spas. They need large quantities. It's more economical for them, keeps their inventory stocked.
Right, that makes sense for the professional side. But what about regular people buying for themselves?
That's the other category, package sales. And this is highlighted as the fastest growing segment.
So the individual consumer is really driving growth here.
Exactly. This is your typical retail bottle of polish or an at-home gel kit, things you buy in a store or online for personal use. It emphasizes convenience, accessibility, really speaks to that DIY trend again.
Very clear shift there.
Oh.
Okay, let's zoom out slightly again. What are the big forces pushing this whole market forward? The main drivers?
The report calls out a few key ones. Firstly, the increase in the number of working women globally.
How does that connect?
More women in the workforce often means more disposable income, and historically, spending on personal care and grooming tends to increase with that.
Okay, a major socioeconomic factor. What else?
The growing demand for spas and beauty salons is another big one. They act as hubs for professional services and product discovery.
Right.
And just a generally growing awareness around the importance of personal grooming overall. Nail care is increasingly seen as just part of looking and feeling put together, part of self-care.
So economic factors, lifestyle choices, and this broader wellness trend. Makes sense. But surely it's not all smooth sailing. Are there things holding the market back? Restraints.
Yeah, a couple are mentioned. One is ongoing concern about chemicals used in some nail products. We touched on this with the natural polish trend.
Right, the push for cleaner ingredients.
Exactly. That could put pressure on brands using older formulations. Consumers are reading labels more.
What's the other restraint?
The report mentions the growing bargaining power of retailers.
The big chains potentially squeezing manufacturers on price.
Pretty much. As retail consolidates or big online players get stronger, they can sometimes dictate terms more, which could impact margins for the nail care brands.
A classic retail dynamic.
Okay.
Looking forward then, what are the major trends shaping the future here?
Two big ones highlighted are product innovation and premiumization.
Premiumization. So more luxurious or high-performance products.
Yeah, consumers seem willing to pay a bit more for products that offer something extra unique colors, better performance, maybe a more upscale brand experience, innovative applicators, that kind of thing.
And the other trend?
The continued growth of organized retail, like large beauty chains and especially e-commerce platforms.
Makes sense. Online shopping for beauty is just massive now.
It really is. Makes products accessible globally in a way they never were before.
Now, who are the big fish in this pond? The report must mention key companies, right?
Oh, yeah, it's a competitive space. You've got global giants and smaller regional players. But the report does name L'Oreal SA, the Estee Lauder Companies, Inc., and Shiseido Company, Limited as some of the dominant forces.
The usual suspects in beauty, really. What makes them dominant here?
It's usually a combination of things. Huge product portfolios covering different price points, massive distribution networks, and significant investment in R&D for that innovation we talked about.
Right, the scale helps.
Mhm.
Did the report give any, like, specific examples of interesting things companies are doing? Partnerships or launches?
Yeah, actually, a couple of fun ones. Remember the Magnum Ice Cream and Nails Inc. collaboration back in May 2022?
Vaguely. What was it?
Chocolate-scented nail polishes,
Right.
inspired by their duet bars. Kind of a novelty, but memorable.
Chocolate-scented polish. Okay, that is memorable. Definitely different. What else?
A potentially more significant move was Hermes entering the nail care market in September 2021.
Wow. Hermes, like the luxury brand.
The very same. They launched nail polish, base and top coats, files, even hand cream. When a high luxury brand like that jumps in, it really signals that they see serious value and potential in the nail care category.
That's a huge statement, yeah. Okay, this has been great for the overview. Before we wrap up, can we dive into some of those regional specifics again, maybe some interesting tidbits from different countries?
Absolutely. Let's circle back to North America. Largest market share for 2025, remember, the U.S. is the giant within it, $7.74 billion.
How to drive are they?
Primarily demand for at-home care products. Fits that DIY trend.
Okay, Canada, Mexico.
Canada's market is about $1.18 billion, and growth there is linked more to salon services and e-commerce. Mexico is around $0.89 billion.
Got it. Europe next, second largest. Any standouts?
Well, Germany is actually the largest single market in Europe, $1.52 billion. They have a notable focus on premium and eco-friendly products, growing at 4.5%.
Interesting focus for Germany. What about the UK or France?
The UK shows slightly faster growth than Germany, 5.1% CAGR, reaching $1.29 billion, driven by general beauty consciousness. France is a bit smaller, $0.71 billion, with slower growth at 3.5%. Russia and Italy are also significant players.
Okay. And now the growth star, APAC.
Yeah.
What's happening at the country level there?
China leads the pack in APAC, huge market, $2.67 billion, growing fast at 7.5%, especially popular with younger consumers.
Right. And India.
India's growth is even faster, actually, a whopping 9.9% CAGR, though it's starting from a smaller base of $0.64 billion.
Nearly 10% growth. Wow.
Yeah. Japan and South Korea are sizable markets, too, driven by rising disposable income. And even smaller markets like Singapore show really high growth rates, over 8%.
So a lot happening across APAC. Quickly, South America.
Brazil is the leader there, $0.43 billion, 5.6% growth, strong beauty culture. Argentina is seeing high demand for manicures and pedicures, pushing its 5.9% growth.
And Middle East and Africa. Any highlights?
In the Middle East, Saudi Arabia is significant, $0.37 billion, growing at 5.6%, driven by increasing beauty awareness. UAE is also strong. Qatar's growth linked to disposable income.
Okay. Africa.
South Africa shows strong growth, 6.6% CAGR, reaching $0.21 billion. Nigeria's growth is also notable, fueled by rising incomes.
It's fascinating how diverse the drivers are region by region, even if the overall trend is up.
Absolutely. This report really paints a picture of a truly global market, but one with very distinct regional personalities and growth stories. It's not just one monolithic thing.
So, summing it all up then, a massive, growing global industry, driven by trends like self-care, innovation in products, especially things like gel polish.
Right, and influenced by regional preferences, economic factors like working women's income, and the rise of e-commerce and packaged goods for personal use, with APAC really standing out as the growth engine for the coming years.
Nail color remains key, manicure treatments are booming, and people are increasingly buying products for themselves at home.
That captures it pretty well. It's moved beyond just a cosmetic item. It's a significant economic sector reflecting how people prioritize grooming and well-being now.
Definitely. So here's something to think about as we finish. We see this huge focus now on personal grooming, on self-care. Looking beyond this report's time frame past 2033, how might that intense focus continue to shape nail care? Could we see even more specialization, maybe integrating health tech, or even more focus on sustainable or hyper-personalized options? Where does it go next?
That's a great question. The intersection of beauty, wellness, and technology, it's definitely fertile ground.